David Thoreau once said, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you imagined." I do not think this young man imagined his life turning out the way it did. He has always managed to find the silver lining in every obstacle that was thrown his way. If you are not willing to look for the positive in every negative situation, you will always be stuck one step behind. He never let that happen to him. He nearly severed his arm off when he was young, but challenged himself to recover from it to be a state-ranked wrestler his last 2 years of high school. He had to grow up with a sister that was so much like him, they never got along. But he has managed to grow into one of the most remarkable and loving kids I know. He has overcome all sorts of obstacles in his life, and he has accomplished so much in his short life because he was willing to look past the negatives and make the best out of every situation. This young man has become my best friend. I may have run over him with my bike when he was 2 years old, but deep down inside, I really did love him. Looking back on all of my own personal obstacles, whether it be pageants, showing livestock, or moving away for college, he always had words of wisdom to help me get through my negative situations. His silver linings have not only helped him move forward with his goals and aspirations, but they have helped others achieve what they did not think was possible for them. If you take one thing from him, please take his positive outlook on life. With that, my name is Taylor, and on behalf of myself and my brother Travis, who could not be here tonight, we are incredibly proud to introduce to you, for his retiring address, our little brother and your 2012 State FFA Treasurer, Tyson Schulte.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Let me tell you, one of my most favorite bands from the 80s is Van Halen. But more importantly, from that band, Eddie Van Halen. Now, Eddie's real name was Edward. But although Eddie didn't really have much of a nickname, he was so good at playing the guitar, he felt his guitar deserved a nickname, Frankenstein. It seems like everybody growing up has a nickname, whether it be something like the Great Bambino or even Chunk. You know, the Goonies, Truffle Shuffle. Whatever your nickname is, I'm sure it is to be unique to you. After being elected as your State FFA Treasurer last year, I've inherited many different nicknames. For example, the Call Me Maybe Kid, Flippy Haired Kid, and of course, I can't forget Justin Bieber. Even though those nicknames probably really don't define who I am, I have to admit they are pretty funny and actually rather factual. But if you really want to know what my true nicknames are that define me, just ask the kids that I've grown up with for the past 19 years. When I went to high school, everybody in my high school knew me as the Math Whiz, the Math Kid. And still to this day, one of my best friends, Dayton, still calls me the Math Whiz. Matter of fact, he just called me the other day when I was working in the office and said, "Hey Math Whiz, can you help me out with this math problem?" Call me crazy, but for some reason, I've always loved numbers. I've always loved math. And don't tell my parents I told you this, but I was so comfortable with math that I would fall asleep almost every day in math class, and kids despised me for it because I could still manage to get A's on all the assignments and all the tests. But don't get me wrong, even though I might be fairly comfortable and okay at math, English is a complete different story. English classes. I don't like them. Enough said. I don't like to read, I don't like to write, and just as my teammates, I can't spell or pronounce words to save my life. But other than that, I guess you could call me an English whiz. I did not like English so much to the point that if I was sitting in English class, I would sit there angle myself away. If we had to read a book, I'd open up the book, act like I was reading it, and within 5 minutes, I would have fallen asleep face first in that book, and might have got a detention, but we don't talk about that. But, you know, even though I wasn't very good at English, I think I still have a reason as to why I love math so much and not so much English. Even though I'm not for sure, I'm still going to share you that story. Now, when I do tell you this story, I don't want any of you to feel sorry for me, okay? Capiche? I was born on April 1st of 1994, an April Fool's baby, in Silvis, Illinois, and I weighed a whole whopping 9 pounds, 13 ounces, and I came out blue. I was born with my umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. I wasn't breathing, I was not responsive, and even though I was too young to remember, my parents still tell me that the doctors literally swept me away and took me to intensive care, or they got me back ticking and got me back in the way of life at that stage. And even though obviously I've made it through the first of life's challenges for me, from that day forward, something wasn't right up here. Something with English. And I first started to notice that in elementary school. I sounded out words completely different than everybody else did. I couldn't read at the same levels that all the other kids in my class did. It was looking as if I was gonna have to start being in special ed classes. But my parents, being the go-getters they weren't gonna let that happen. They decided to take it upon themselves and give me a one-on-one tutor at this place called Sylvan Learning Center, where I went for 3 times a week to do the thing I hated the most for an hour straight, and that was read. Now, I did have a little bit of a motivation to go to this place. They gave you these little token things that if you did what you were supposed to and did really well that day, they give you these tokens, and at the end of the week you could turn them in for some awesome prizes that were really cool at that age. But other than that, I wasn't a big fan of going. But a few years later, 4th, 5th grade, my teachers, my parents, as well as myself started to see a change in my English skills. I was starting to pronounce words the same way as other people would pronounce them. I started to read at my own grade level, actually higher than my own grade level. I was starting to keep up with all the other kids in my class. Even though I don't like to dwell on the fact that I wasn't very good at English and all the challenges I had to take to overcome that, I'd rather enlighten on the fact that I've always been blessed with being good at math. Even though the door was closed to the opportunity to being good at English, the door was standing wide open to being great at math. Which is why all the kids at school never knew me as the kid who wasn't very good at English. They knew me as the math kid, the math whiz. But before you all start calling me the math kid or the math whiz and think I'm some numbers person, let me tell you about my other nickname. Now, I don't know how many of you know this about me, but something I love to do over the summer is show pigs. And I've been showing pigs since I was about 8 years old, and I literally stood about this tall. I was a short kid. But before I started showing pigs, I showed cattle with my brother and my sister. But that all ended pretty quick when I was walking my steer out at County Fair one year, and he stepped on my foot, and that was the end of that, and I realized that showing pigs was probably the future for me, because if they stepped on your foot, it really didn't hurt that bad. But, which is why I lead into my other nickname. In high school, all the kids knew me as the pig kid. Now, they didn't really necessarily know me as the pig kid just because they knew I showed pigs, but mainly because I would show up to school reeking of the smell of pigs because I had just got done doing chores that morning. Or I wasn't even at school because I was gone showing pigs at a show. All the livestock kids out there probably know what I'm talking about when I say that. Hey, there's a couple over there, awesome. But don't get me wrong, being the pig kid had its perks. Because when it came County Fair time, guess who wanted to come see my pigs? Anybody have a guess?
Mom?
Ah, right there in the front. All the pretty girls from school wanted to come see my pigs at the county fair. Don't ask me why, but I didn't fight it and I just went with it. But even though I love to show pigs as competitively as I do today, the decision to do so didn't really come that easy. Why? Because even though I love the show Pigs so much, it happened at the same time something else I really love to do goes on. Playing baseball. Baseball was probably my first love. Well, actually, I take that back. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups is probably my first love, but second love. Because of Reese's fans. I started playing baseball when I was about 3 years old, to the point where I was dragging the bat behind me to home plate just to heave it over my shoulder, swing just to knock the tee down, and watch it roll 2 foot in front of me. But I knew at that point in time that baseball was the sport for me. I grew up playing baseball, hitting home runs and throwing people out at second base who were trying to steal on me. I was the catcher. I took pride in that. But that all changed one day when my life took the most dramatic change in direction yet. I was in 6th grade and me and my dad were out doing chores and I had baseball practice later on that evening, and I remember asking my dad so much, and I was begging so bad to see if he'd let me go fishing with his friend instead of going to baseball practice. And he goes, no, you can just go after you're done at baseball practice. So I was like, okay. Well, he takes me to baseball practice, and what was supposed to be just a baseball practice turned into a little bit more of that. So he dropped me off, and he left, and we got done, hitting the balls and running around the bases, and our coach thought, hey, we got done pretty early. You know what? Let's have some pop flies. Let's have a fielding practice. Okay. So when I say pop flies, I don't really mean like he's gonna grab the ball and throw it in the air and obviously you're gonna catch it. No, we take it to the next level. He took the pitching machine, placed it right there to the point where it was gonna go right to the outfield, cranked it to the highest angle it would go, and turned it up as fast as it would go, and said, all right, who's first? Okay. Well, I'm standing out in the outfield with my ratty old fielder's glove, because I was a catcher. I didn't really have much of a need for a fielder's glove, and I'm standing there, and to my surprise, he yells, Tyson, you're first. Okay. So I walk to the front, and all right, I'm standing there, I'm waiting, I'm looking around, and the next thing, poof, ball goes in the air. And it looks like it's gonna come right at me. I didn't think much of it. Next thing I know, it stops and it's dropping real fast. I'm like, oh no. So I started running towards it, I didn't think I was gonna make it. Got closer and closer. Next thing I know, the ball is right there. I'm looking into the sun, and it grazes the tip of my glove, goes underneath my hat, and pow! Hits me right in the eye. Now it's tough. I didn't start crying. I didn't drop to the ground. I didn't freak out. Yet. I took my hat off, I took my glove off, I threw him on the ground, I grabbed my eye, and I started running towards the coaches screaming, my eye! Until boom, blackness. I don't really remember much after that, except waking up sitting on the fence and my coach sitting in front of me going, how many fingers am I holding up? How many fingers am I holding up? And I remember confidently but scared responding, I can't see out of my right eye. I can't see anything out of my right eye. Am I gonna go blind? Am I gonna be blind? Am I gonna be blind? That was the only thing I could ask. They had no answer. They told me that they called my parents. My parents were on their way. They're gonna take me to the hospital. So my parents came and got me. They took me to the hospital, and there's a flower there. And they took me to the hospital, and they took me to the emergency room, and they took x-rays, CAT scans, gave me shots, the whole 9 yards. But one thing I do remember quite fondly was the nurse we had wanted to take me out for a vision test. So she takes me out, and I'm standing at the very end of this very long hallway, where at the other end, there's one of those deals, it's a chart, one of them seed charts with all the letters and the numbers, and they're really big at the top and really small at the bottom. And then she has me cover my left eye and says, all right, read the smallest line you can. And I calmly reply, I can't see anything. And she goes, oh, okay, well, can you read the top line? I don't know if she heard me the first time, so I just kind of calmly again answered, I can't see anything. And she goes, oh, well, how many fingers am I holding up? And I could tell her hand was literally right here, because I could feel my breath bouncing off her hand and hit me back in the face. And this time I just lost it. I go, lady, I can't see anything. And she goes, oh, so you can't see anything? I go, no, I can't see anything. She goes, oh. So she takes me back to the room and waited there for about 8 hours until the doctor came in and gave us some results. He informed me that I fractured my skull in 2 spots, right here by my eye and right here below my eye, actually by my nose and my eye and right below. also informed me that I had popped every blood vessel in my eye except for one. And that was the only reason I still have my vision today. But the worst news of all told me that I couldn't play baseball for the rest of the year. I was devastated, but still happy at the same time that my vision was going to be saved. For the next 8 weeks, my life was crazy. I had to sleep in a recliner because there was blood in my pupil and they had to let it drain. I had to wear an eye patch to school. And how many of you think I look like a pirate? And that's what they just called me. It was Mr. Pirate at school. And I also had to go to a special eye doctor 2 times a day. To this day, I still face challenges with my vision. I still have to go to that special eye doctor once a year. I'm partially blind in my right eye. And when it came to sports, where I need my I Love Shopping bag, I had to wear a shield for football. I had to wear a mask on my headgear for wrestling. And I had to wear a cage on my batting helmet for baseball. Up until the day I decided to start showing pigs more competitively instead. You see, after my injury to my vision, my baseball skills weren't as good as they used to be, and that was my decision to start showing pigs more competitively instead. Even though the door was closed to the opportunity to be great at baseball, maybe playing in college someday, the door was standing wide open to start showing pigs more competitively. Which is why all the kids at school didn't know me as the kid who could have been great at baseball. They knew me as the pig kid. As I look back at all the nicknames I've had and what people have called me, Math Whiz and Pig Kid, they really define who I am. Every time it looked as if something else was going to define who I was, that door was closed right before my eyes. I could have focused on all those misfortunes I've had in my life. I could have wasted all my time trying to reopen those doors. But instead, I took advantage of those open doors and let those good things define who I was going to be. Don't look at your past and feel sorry for yourself. Don't let people remember you as the person you could have been. Remember them as the person you are. Take advantage of those good things. Seize the opportunities. Define yourself as you want to be known. When one door closes, another door opens. Life is unpredictable, but in the end, is right. Don't fight it. Go with the flow. Embrace the nicknames that define you, and I know you will have the time of your life.
Take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time.
You are a spontaneous, energetic young fellow who bears a strong resemblance to Justin Bieber. During our year together, we have learned many different stories and random things that you really care a lot about. It was one of the best years of our lives, and it would not have been the same without you. Love, Darren, Dalton, Courtney, and Joe. Illinois FFA, for the last time in 2012-2013, Illinois State FFA Treasurer Tyson Schulte.